Are you an agency recruiter and you're trying to qualify a client lead? Check out this video right now and I'll help you. Hey, welcome to the Millionaire Recruiter. I'm Brianna Rooney, your Millionaire Recruiter. If you have not seen this channel before, it's all about upping your game in the recruiting industry. So this is fun. This brings me back to agency life. Clients. How do you know if it's a good client? And I gotta tell you, even though we're not doing contingency work anymore, even at Talent Perch, we still have client conversations, right? So we still have to qualify them. First things first, have very direct conversations. I don't think you should really sugarcoat anything. You want to mind your P's and Q's. You want to be respectful, of course. You don't want to offend anyone, right? But if you're going to go in and work with a client, especially if you're doing contingency, it's free at first, right? But even if you're doing retainer, you still want to make that hire and you don't want to hit your head on the side of the wall. So you have to research them. You have to look to see how many people they've hired. That information is on LinkedIn in like the last year. You can see how many people they've hired. You can look at their team really quickly. Now, before hopping on the phone with them, I don't think you should dig. But you need to have just a broad overview of, are their job descriptions on point? How's their team's profile look? Are they weird A, B, or C players? Like, what are we thinking? Just a broad overview. You don't want to spend too much time because if you dig on all clients before the first call, that's fake busy. If you just watch that video, that's fake busy, okay? So this is why you have those direct conversations, because they are going to be your partner. This is definitely a partnership. With recruiting and clients, they have to be as invested as you are. And sadly, that doesn't happen enough. Sadly, it's the recruiter that invests all their time and energy into the client, and the client's like, oh yeah, I'll get back to you next week. So the direct conversations is what your expectations are. So you lay out exactly what you expect and then when to expect it. So an example of that is, hey, first of all, who do I send resumes to? Do you have an ATS or a person? We figure that out, right? Then I say, great, who's responsible for getting back to me on resumes? We find that out because now we know the person to pester, right? Then we say, okay, how soon is that person required per your organization to get back on resumes? How fast are they currently doing it? You have to ask currently, because if you just go into what you expect, they're probably so desperate that they're just going to say yes to everything. But that's not going to be true. So you have to figure that out. So first you're going to say, how fast are they currently getting back on resumes? What's your policy? Then you're going to have that conversation and say, well, here's what I expect. So if it's far off, you have to really say, are you able to meet me here and get back within 48 hours? Because we want people to get back within 24 to 48 hours. If the person tells you it's 4 days, can you meet in the middle? And if they say no, you have a decision to make. Do you want to work with this client? I hope your answer is no. And you're going to say, but Brianna, they pay over market. Okay, but you still have to make that placement. You're also going to say, oh, but it's a high profile client. Like, I would love to put their logo on my website. Great, but are you going to have success there? And you're going to feel good about that? Think of those things. It's okay to say no. It's actually empowering to say no. They have to respect what you do. And if through these direct conversations, if you're in a vibe that they don't, this might not be the right client for you. And you might even say, Brianna, I don't have any clients. Don't care. What's going to happen, and I have seen it time and time again, is you are going to waste your time on a client. You're going to put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, and you're going to think that this is how it's supposed to go. But it's not. You just haven't found that right one. So respect yourself enough to say no. Also in the conversation with the client, you're going to talk about their data. So we just talked a little bit about when the hiring manager gets back on the resume, but we want to go back to their data. Do they know their time to fill for this particular role and as an organization? Here's what happens a lot. When you ask a client, what is your time to fill? they might have an all-encompassing time to fill, which is going to include all different departments. But if you're in tech, you know that it's way easier to fill marketing roles than it is tech roles. So you don't care about the all-encompassing. You want to know what their time to fill is in engineering. Lots of times they don't have that information. Should that scare you? A little, but unfortunately that's the norm. So just get used to that. So you're just going to dig a little bit. So you could say, okay, for example, let's say you have this back-end role that you're talking to me about. How long has that been posted for? How long have you been on the hunt for? If a client then tells you, we've been looking to fill this role for about 6 months. What does that tell you? What are they doing wrong? So you're going to start to dig. You're going to dig. Are you using recruiters? What's the problem? You essentially want to find out what the bottleneck is in their process. Here's something I want to warn you of, because I have definitely done this. Whenever you hear that their position has been open for so long and you're like, no, I can fill this for sure. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking for the diamond in the rough. And you're going to be like, I got that. I'm a great recruiter. I'm going to run with that. And I'm going to prove to them that I can fill this unicorn purple squirrel role. No problem. I got this. And you might, right? But you would be the exception, not the rule. So your ego needs to step aside and say, might not want to go into battle for this one. So if a role has been open for a long time, you got to get really nitty gritty as to why. Is it salary bands? Is it people aren't accepting their offers? So are they a stinky cheese? You have to also find out if your client's a stinky cheese and if you're willing to be by the smell. That kind of made me laugh. But no, seriously, like you have to qualify this lead. You can't just take any lead. Just why, like the client, I know recruiters are hot right now. Everyone needs one. They're a little desperado, and that's kind of great for us recruiters. But you still can't just go with any. Even in a client-driven market, let's just say it's not a candidate-driven market. Let's say it's a client-driven market, a company-driven market. You still have to be choosy. It's going to get harder, but you're going to respect yourself and you're going to stand tall. And then naturally, people can tell if you value yourself, if you value what you do. It just stands out. Promise me it does. You will get this. There are tons of companies out there that you can work with that are making hiring a priority. But as a recruiter, you do not want a partnership with a client that does not feel the same. Plain and simple. All right. So I hope you are now refocused, re-energized, and now you're going to be taking client conversations more seriously, more of a partnership, and it's not so scary. Because that's the other thing, is that recruiters think that these calls are scary. Sometimes it's with higher-ups, but in the recruiting world, and I know we don't talk about it enough, I've been talking about it on the podcast. If you haven't listened to that, it's Talent Takeover Unfiltered. But on the podcast, we talk about that being in recruiting is actually a really cool way to talk to all different organizations and all different levels of people, all the way up to execs. And any other job doesn't get that opportunity. So you as a recruiter get to see so many things and talk in higher levels. Therefore, when you're having these client conversations, a lot of recruiters that haven't done it before get really nervous. But that's your job. Your job is to talk to all levels, all different departments. So empower yourself, stand tall, you got this. And I believe in you. And if you want to get trained the right way, definitely go to thriveversity.io. All that information is below there. And always thanks for watching. I do this every Thursday at noon. I do it for you. I would love everyone just to really put some comments down below. Was this on target? And also, what other videos, topics do you want to just dig deep into? We definitely are doing that via the webinar. So if you have not gone on Thriveversity Station, definitely do that as well. I am doing a live webinar. That's the fun stuff for me, actually. It's 40 minutes. It's once a month. So you'll also see that when it is, and you'll see what subject I'm conquering. But I only have 6 subjects out there. So if you want your subject to be in there, definitely hit us up and let us know what we should talk about. All right, and have fun. And don't forget that money is just a vessel to do all the amazing things you want to go do in life. Go live it, rock the recruiting.